Shalom. We are continuing our learning of Sefer Yirmiyahu. We're up to Perek Lamed Gimel. These are Nevuos that are now in the 10th year of Tzidkiyahu HaMelech, which is 1 year before the Chorban. Yirmiyahu is languishing in the Chatzar Matara. He is in prison because Tzidkiyahu put him in prison as a Navi Sheker, who is undermining the confidence of the Jewish people by saying that the city will be conquered by the Babylonians and the temple will be destroyed. Vahi Devar Hashem el Yirmiyahu Shenis. Yirmiyahu gets a second prophecy. Perek Lamed Beis was the first prophecy. Vuodenu Atzor b'Chatzar Matara Lemar, and he is still imprisoned in the prison. Kai Amar Hashem Isa. So says God, who makes everything. Hashem Yotzer Osa Lahachina. Hashem creates everything, lahachina, to prepare it for an ultimate purpose. Everything Hashem does has a purpose. Golus and Chorban are not just to destroy, but to be ma'arer, a tshuva, to rebuild. Kara Elai Vaneka, speaking to the Jewish people through the prophet. Call unto me, pray to me, seek me. And Hashem says, I will answer you. And I will tell you great things and hidden messages that you never understood. You'll understand what's going on. So says Hashem about the houses of Jerusalem and the palaces of the kings. Hanisutsim, that will be burnt and destroyed, elasololos, and the rubble will be used to build up ramparts by which the Babylonians can climb the wall. V'alacherev, and all the sword that will come in. Boyam lilachem es hakastim lamalim es pigrei adam asher kesi biapi b'chamasi, that you are trying to fight the Babylonians. Meaning, again, it's a musar because Yirmiyahu told them not to fight, but you're trying to fight the custom and to fill up your ground with their corpses. But that's not going to work. Asheri Kesi Biapi B'Chamasi, I am smiting you with my fury. Vasher Istarti Panai Mi'ayir Azais, Al Kol Ra'asam. I have concealed my face. I'm not going to protect the city because of their evil. So fighting against the Babylonians is not going to work. But, Pasuk Vav, Hineni Male La Arucha. But I will bring to her, again, Yerushalayim is referred to as a woman, Arucha Umarpeh, healing and curing, Urifasim, and I will heal your wounds. Vigilesi Lahem, Ateres Shalom V'Yames. I will reveal to you. Ateres is an unusual word. It is spelt with a suf, not a tes, so it doesn't mean a crown. Ateres Shalom does not mean a crown of peace. That would be a different spelling. But Aseres means a riboy, an increase of Shalom and truth. V'hashivaisi es Shavus Yehuda. I will bring back the captivity of Yehuda, and even Shavus Yisrael, the captivity of the 10 tribes. Uvenisim, and I will build them up, Kavarishona, as they once were. V'tihartim mikol avonam asher chatuli, and through the galus and the tshuva of the thousands of years, I will purify them from all of the sins that they sinned against me. V'salachti l'chol aveinaseim asher chatoli, and I will forgive their averos. V'asher pashubi, and 3 lashonos. Chet is unintentional. Avain is an intentional sin because of a taiva. And pesha is a rebellious sin out of spite. Hashem will forgive all of them if there's tshuva. The chet, the avain, the pesha. V'haisa li l'shem sasain v'lishila u'l'seferes l'chol goyei ha'aretz. And when I rebuild Yerushalayim, and I bring back the exiles, and there will be the Geula Ha'asida, it will be Sasain, joy, Tehillah, God will be praised, Tiferes, beauty. All the nations of the world are going to recognize this, not just the Jewish people. Asher Yishmu, they will hear as Kol HaTaiva Asher Nochi Oisa Isam, all of the good that I've done for my people. Upachadu, and they will be afraid, V'rugzu, and they will shake Al Kol HaTaiva, because they'll realize now that the Jewish people that they despised and they persecuted are God's nation, and they will be ashamed for what they did. V'al Kol HaSholem Shenochi Oisa Kayamar Hashem, Oid Yishama b'makay mazeh asher atem oimrim charefu mi'ein adam mi'ein behema. It will one day be heard in this very place that you say it's destroyed. There's no person, there's no animal. There's still B'ari Yehuda u'b'chutzas Yerushalayim, in the cities of Yehuda, in the streets of Jerusalem, haneshamais that are abandoned, me'ein adam u'me'ein yoshev. No people, no inhabitants, no behema. Utter desolation and devastation. Od yishama, as we say in Sheva Brachas, one day it shall be heard, Kail sasain v'kail simcha, the sound and singing of joy and happiness. Kol chasan v'kol kala. Again, this phrase appears quite often in yirmiyahu. This is not necessarily the pasuk upon which the bracha is based, because indeed this phrase appears many times. But there shall be heard in Arei Yehuda u'v'chutzos Yerushalayim sasain and simcha and chasan and kala, but it just won't be a political thing. They'll turn it back to Hashem. Kayil Imrim, a voice that declares, Haidu es Hashem tzivakos. Let us give thanks to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ki tov Hashem. He is truly good. Ki li olam chasto. His loving kindness will last forever. Meviim taida beis Hashem. And in their rejoicing, they will bring thanksgiving offerings, a korban taida, in the Beis HaMikdash. Ki oshiv es shavus ha'aretz kavari shaina, Amar Hashem, for I will return the captivity as it once was. Kai Amar Hashem tzavakos, so says Hashem. Od yeh b'makam hazeh hacharev me'ein adam v'yad behema u'v'chal harav. In this very place that is desolate, no people, no animals, there shall be nevei roim, the dwelling places of shepherds, marbitzim tzayin, who will be tending their sheep. Now again, in Pshuto Shel Mikra, it's basically saying there'll be sheep, which is a sign of prosperity, fertility, economic growth. But we also know that Talmidei Chachamim, leaders and teachers of Torah, are called shepherds, and Talmidim are called Tzayin. So in this Nevuah, there is also an intimation of the return of Torah learning, yeshivos, young Bachrim learning Torah, Avreichim learning Torah. Now, we're not yet Mashiach, obviously, but Baruch Hashem, we've seen these nevuos can be fulfilled gradually over a period of time. And in many ways, we've seen the return of Yidden to Eretz Yisrael, the building of Torah, Befrat after the Churban of the Holocaust. So when you read these nevuos, Hagam that they're not yet Mekuyim b'milu'ehem, we should try to be margish, those aspects in which we're zeicha to see a kiyum. And this will be Orei Ahor, the cities of the mountainous areas in the middle of the country. Orei Hashvela in the valleys. Orei HaNegev in the Negev, Eretz Binyamin. Sevive Yerushalayim, Orei Yehuda. Oy Tavorna Hatzayin Al Yidei Meina. The sheep will pass by the shepherd who counts the sheep. Again, a double mashmos. Sheep, shepherd. Am Yisrael, Hashem. Teachers of Torah and Talmidim. And Hine Yomim Boim Ne'um Hashem. Behold, days are coming, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'akimaisi es hadavar hatayv asher dibarti al Beis Yisrael v'al Beis Yehuda. I will fulfill the words, the promises I made for Beis Yisrael, the 10 tribes, and Beis Yehuda. And biyamim ahem. And those days, this is not referring to the 70 years, this is the Messianic prophecy. Will be Esahi atzmiach leDavid semach. I will cause a shoot, a plant, an offspring, so to speak, to come from David. This is the makor of the phrase in the Shemona Esrei, Es semach David avdecha. The tzemach, the growth of David, bimatzmiach. It's from this pasuk. Atzmiach leDavid semach. An offshoot of righteousness. V'yasa mishpat u'tzedakah b'aretz, and Mashiach will be a righteous king. He will do justice and charity. And bayamim ahem, and in those days, tivasha Yehuda v'Yerushalayim tishkei levetach. Yehuda will be saved from all of its enemies, and Yerushalayim will dwell in security. Now, why in this pasuk does it not mention the 10 tribes? That's a bit of a tzarachian, because we've been coupling Beis Yisrael and Yehuda, but here it just says Yehuda will be saved, and Yerushalayim tishkei levetach v'zeh asher yikra la, and the city will acquire a new name. Yerushalayim has many names, but one of the future names will be Hashem Tzidkenu. God has exonerated us. God has purified us. God has made us worthy of receiving Him. Tzidkenu, He's Matzdik Osanu. Ki Chai Amar Hashem. Lo yikares leDavid ish yoshev al kisei Beis Yisrael. That the Davidic line will never be cut off. Meaning Mashiach will die, but that line will continue. There will always be a hereditary successor of David HaMelech sitting on the throne. And similarly, v'la kohanim haleviim lo yikares ish milefanai Male Eila umaktir mincha v'yaseh zevach kol hayomim. There will not be a cutoff of Malchus Beis David, nor will there ever be a cutoff of Kohanim and Leviim who will do Avodah in the Beis Hamikdash. Again, I throw out a question. The Gemara in Bava Basra actually says that Hashem has made a promise that there will never be a total cutting off of any Shevet. So why does the pasuk emphasize there will never be a cutoff of Malchus Beis David and Kaihanim and Leviim? L'chaira, the Gemara in Bava Basra says, Gemiri, the lo chalya shifta, that no Shevet will ever be destroyed. Even the 10 tribes, even though we don't know where they are, and there's been a lot of intermarriage, etc., but Hashem will bring them back. So that's a little bit of a tzarachian to think about. Again, these are B'kiyas Shiurim, so we don't have time to go into everything. Read about Hashem al-Yirmiyahu Lamar, and then Hashem went back to Yirmiyahu, Pasuk Chaf, Kayamar Hashem, Im Taferu Esbrisi Hayayim, V'Esbrisi Halayla, Uvilti Hayais Yaimam V'Layla Be'itam, Gam Berisi Tufar Es David Avdi, Miyos Lo Ben, Molech Al Kisai, V'Es HaLeviim, HaKehanim, Mishor Sai. Rhetorically, this is a similar device to what Yirmiyahu did before, and that is, Hashem's covenant is as strong as the natural laws he put into the universe. Which means the covenant will be abrogated when the natural laws will be abrogated, which is never. And that's what it's expressed here. If I would cancel the covenant I made with day and night, the idea of the sun rising and setting, day, night, if I would get rid of day and night, then I would get rid of my covenant of Malchus Beis David enduring and Kohanim and Leviim enduring, which is an unusual way of saying, Kishem, that there are chukim in the Teva that will never be changed. This will never be changed. Asher lo yisafer tzva shamayim lo yimat chol hayom, the same way you cannot count the stars of the heaven or the sand on the shores of the sea. Cain, arbeh es zera David avdi. So will I multiply the seed of David my servant, along with the Leviim and the Kohanim that are Meshorsim Osi, that serve me. Once again, this is a little bit difficult, because l'chayra, we don't find, even when Mashiach comes, that the Zera David is going to be so big, Kohanim and Leviim. And of course, even going back to Avram, HaKadosh Baruch Hu promises the Jewish people will be K'kaychvei HaShamayim, V'chachayel Asher al Sfas Hayam. So the Mefarshim explain that this was never really, both in the case of Avraham, which is about Klal Yisrael generally, and here in the case of Malchus, Beis David, and Kohanim, Bi'ikar, this is not a haftocha regarding kamus, regarding quantity. Because Am Yisrael will never be a big nation. And Malchus, the descendants of David, will lavdafka be a big nation. But this is referring to not being able to count the spiritual greatness and stature. Just as you can't count the stars, and you can't count the sand, it'll be impossible to count the godless, the holiness, the goodness, the shleimus of Am Yisrael. So you are using the stars and the sun and the sand as a mashal for an infinite number, but you're not saying that Klal Yisrael will have that infinite number in Kamus, but it's referring to Eichus. Vayhi devar Hashem el Yirmiyahu lemor, and then Hashem said to Yirmiyahu, Hello, Ra'isa ma amazeh dibru lemor shtei mishpachas asher bachar Hashem bam vayimasem v'yes ami yina atzon bios od goy lifneim. Yirmiyahu, you see what people are saying. As everything is falling apart, as Yerushalayim is on the verge of being conquered, as the Beis HaMikdash is being destroyed, people are saying God must have a special hatred for two mishpachos. The two mishpachos, Rashi says, Malchus and Kahuna, because they are the ones that are losing their positions. The Malchus is being deposed, and many were killed, and the Kohanim are losing their function. The two mishpachos that Hashem chose, He now despises them. And not only that, the whole nation are being rejected. But again, Hashem says no. And this is yet another comparison to natural law, but a natural phenomena, but this is the most famous of them. Kayamar Hashem. Hashem says the following. Im loy berisi yaimam balayla chukay shemayim v'aretz loy samti. if I didn't have a covenant, first I'll translate it literally, then I'll give the drash that maybe is more familiar. Im loy barisi, if there wouldn't be a covenant with the day and the night, if there wouldn't be the laws that govern Shemayim v'aretz, if I got rid of gravity and I got rid of light and darkness and I got rid of the normal way the worlds operate, then and only then, Zera Yaakov and David Avdi, Emas, I would despise, Mikachas Mizaro Moishlam, not to take from his children rulers, El Zera Avram Yitzchak v'Yaakov, to the children of Avram Yitzchak and Yaakov. Meaning Hashem is once again making the same point, that as stable as the laws of nature, so too is my love for Zera Yaakov generally, and David Avdi in particular. I would reject Zera Yaakov and David Avdi only if there would no longer be the Yom and Laila and the Chukei Shemayim v'Aretz. Right, that is Pshuto Shel Mikra, but that is actually not the drasha that Chazal employ. The drasha that Chazal employ is this: Im lo barisi yom v'layla chuko shemaim v'lo salamati, meaning, if it wouldn't be for my covenant of Torah that is studied day and night, comma, I would not have created heaven and earth. So they split it up. Instead of looking at it as a preliminary pasuk, without the laws of nature, then I would reject the Jewish people. We read it this way: Im loy barisa yom v'layla, if there wouldn't be the covenant of Torah where we say v'hagisa ba yom v'layla, the world would not exist. And that's what Rashi says, Bereishis bara Elokim, because of that which is called Reishis. The Torah is called Reishis in Mishlei. That is why Hashem created heaven and earth. Im loy barisa yom v'layla chukei shemayim v'aretz lo samti. But the pasuk says that I will never reject Zera Yaakov and David Avdi, ki oshiv es shavusam b'richamtim, I will return their captivity and I will have compassion on them.